My girlfriend was admitted to Columbia University for graduate school. I deliberately proposed on this day, but I heard her say, "The gap between us is too big. I can't have an ordinary boyfriend like you. It's too expensive. When we meet again, we know that I am the top jewelry designer in the country, K." Then he began to hold my waist and refused to let go. I was wrong. Let's make up. 1. My girlfriend was admitted to Columbia University for graduate school. I deliberately proposed on this day, but I heard her say, "The gap between us is too big. I can't have an ordinary boyfriend like you. It's too expensive. When we meet again, we know that I am the top jewelry designer in the country, K." Then he began to hold my waist and refused to let go. I was wrong. Let's make up. Baby, I passed the IELTS. I can go to the Big Brother. On the other end of the phone, Lin Xiaoxiao's voice trembled with excitement, like a jumping bird. I also suppressed my ecstasy. I have been working part-time day and night to make money for the past 3 years. I tried my best to draw until the early morning, and it was not in vain. Great. Now we can get married with peace of mind and tomorrow. Before I finished my words, Lin Xiaoxiao interrupted me. But I couldn't hear any sorry in his tone. But Yuan, think about it, I'm a student of Columbia University. How can you be worthy of me with an ordinary second-year graduate? I was struck by lightning, and the engagement ring in my hand almost slipped off. Not worthy. In the past 3 years, in order to support her, I have several positions every day, and the list of the studio is soft. He even put down his self-esteem to take on some low-end jewelry design private work. All this is just the word not worthy in her eyes? Xiao, what do you mean by this? I opened my mouth with difficulty, and there was still a glimmer of hope in my heart. It's not interesting. I just think we are not suitable. Lin Xiaoxiao's tone was light, as if she was talking about today's weather. I've already made it clear to you that I'm going abroad to start a new life. Let's get together and break up. The phone hung up, and the cold mechanical sound echoed in my ear. Like a sharp knife, it pierced my heart fiercely. I sat in front of the computer decadently, looking at the unfinished jewelry design on the screen. I only feel extremely ironic. I poured everything for her to go abroad, but in the end I only said, I don't deserve it. A new dynamic suddenly popped up in the circle of friends, which was sent by Lin Xiaoxiao. In the photo, she is holding the back of a tall man. The background is the boarding gate of the airport, and the supporting text is, "Finally, it's time to start a new life. Thank you, my love. Thank you for taking me to the other side of my dream." The man in the photo I know is the son of a famous local jeweler. He drives a Maserati and is generous. I have seen it several times in bars before. Unexpectedly, he and Lin Xiaoxiao. I suddenly remembered that Lin Xiaoxiao has been making all kinds of excuses not to answer my phone recently. It was said that he was busy preparing for the LTS exam. It turned out that it was all a lie. I shook my head with a wry smile. Turned out that, from beginning to end, I'm just her pedal to a better life, a ridiculous spare tire. 2. After 3 years of love, I can't resist the temptation of reality after all. And I am the fool who was kept in the dark and finally ruthlessly abandoned. Don't be depressed. Just like Lin Xiaoxiao, are you really a treasure? I heard that she hooked up with the rich second generation as soon as she broke up. They are living happily abroad now. Look at you, what have you done for her? Is it worth it? Away's words were like a heavy hammer, hitting my heart and smashing my last fantasy. Yeah, what on earth am I obsessed with? A woman who can trample on feelings at will for money is not worth my heart at all. You're right. I can't be so decadent anymore. I suddenly took a sip of beer, and my eyes gradually became firm. I want to make Lin Xiaoxiao regret abandoning me at the beginning. I want her to see that without her, I can still live a wonderful life. From that day on, I quit all my part-time jobs and devoted myself to the operation of the studio. I began to study photography skills, learn marketing strategies, and even brazenly ask my peers for advice. 1 year later, boss, your group of photos is amazing. It's just a work of art. Yes, your composition, light and shadow are so amazing that our studio will recognize you. Looking at the appreciating eyes of the customers, I smiled confidently at the corners of my lips. My studio has become a popular place for local celebrities. My work is also very popular on the internet, and I have become the most popular internet celebrity photographer. Ding-ling-ling. The mobile phone rang, which was a video call from my sister. Brother, I graduated. When will you come to Columbia to take a graduation photo for me? In the video, the younger sister was wearing a bachelor's uniform and smiled brightly. Haha. Congratulations on my baby's graduation. I have booked the ticket, and it will arrive tomorrow. I put down the phone and immediately booked a ticket to Columbia. Columbia, I'm here again. Last time I came here it was for 3. Forget it, I don't want to. It was already evening when I arrived in Columbia. I found a 5-star hotel near the hotel to stay. I put down my luggage and my stomach began to growl. That I decided to go to the hotel's cafeteria to fill my stomach first. As soon as I walked to the elevator entrance, I saw Lin Xiaoxiao dressed in a luxury brand. She was holding her rich second-generation boyfriend and pointing at the elevator, looking impatient. Why is it so slow? Why is the service of this hotel so bad? She is still as arrogant and unreasonable as before. I sneered in my heart and was about to pretend not to see them and walk past them. Yo, isn't this Jiang Yuan? Why did you chase me to Colombia? Lin Xiaoxiao saw me at a glance and said strangely. I stopped and turned to look at her, with a mocking arc at the corner of my mouth. Yes, I didn't expect to meet you here. What a coincidence. With your little salary, if you buy a plane ticket, you probably have to eat instant noodles for a month, right? Lin Xiaoxiao looked at me contemptuously. When he saw the buffet coupon in his hand, he looked even more contemptuous of me. Yo, Jiang Yuan, so pitiful, eat a free buffet? Lin Xiaoxiao covered her mouth and asked as if she was surprised, and her tone was full of sarcasm. I raised my head and looked at her calmly. I didn't want to have the same insight as her. Xiaoxiao, don't say that, Lin Xiaoxiao's rich second generation said, and he pretended to be sympathetic and looked at me. Mr. Jiang is also for a living. Let's not disturb his meal. Yes, Lin Xiaoxiao took the arm of the rich second generation and pretended to sigh. Fortunately, I chose you, otherwise I would have discounted like him and eaten these free buffets. As she said, she deliberately shook her wrist, revealing the valuable diamond bracelet on her wrist. Look at my bracelet, but Ziheng specially brought it back from France. Isn't it beautiful? I glanced faintly. The bracelet was indeed valuable, but in my eyes it was just that. By the way, Lin Xiaoxiao seemed to suddenly remember something and continued, didn't you give me a necklace? I remember that it also seems to be Cartier's, but it seems to be gone later. That necklace is fake. She looked at me suspiciously, and her tone was full of contempt. I couldn't help laughing and didn't say anything. The Cartier necklace was real, but she thought I couldn't afford it, so she gave her a high imitation. That it can be seen that I didn't like it for a long time and threw it away at will. Look, he must be guilty. Lin Xiaoxiao pointed at me and said to the rich second generation. I just said, how can he afford Cartiers with his little salary? It must be a high imitation. Xiaoxiao, it's not easy for him. Maybe it's not enough to buy a plane ticket. This is a free buffet. The rich second generation pretended to dissuade, but there was a trace of imperceptible pride in the corners of his mouth. I'm telling the truth, Lin Xiaoxiao muttered dissatisfiedly. Then he continued to show off. At your condition, you are willing to spend money to fly here, and you say that you didn't come after me? I looked at Lin Xiaoxiao calmly and said indifferently, it's really not. Lin Xiaoxiao smiled proudly as if he had heard a joke. Ghosts believe it, As she said, she took the arm of the rich second generation and didn't let me go in front of me. Lin Xiaoxiao, don't go too much. I took a deep breath and tried to suppress the anger in my heart. Am I overdoing it? Lin Xiaoxiao seemed to hear a big joke and pointed at me and laughed. Jiang Yuan, you don't even look at what you look like now. What qualifications do you have to say that I'm too much? I'm here to work, not to rekindle my old relationship with you. I looked at her coldly and said word by word. Work. Lin Xiaoxiao seemed to see through my mind and smiled contemptuously. Is there no work in China? Do you have to come all the way here? Who believes it? I think you just don't want to give up on me and you still like me. Come to me to beg for peace. Your plane ticket has cost you several months' salary. Even so, I still won't be with you and won't look at you. Are you worthy of me? Her words were like a sharp blade stinging my heart fiercely. Let me tell you, Jiang Yuan, you should die this heart. Lin Xiaoxiao's voice was sharp and harsh. I'm doing well now. Ziheng is very good to me. If you can't give me, he can give it to me. Yes, Mr. Jiang, Fu Erdai also said, and he patted me on the shoulder in a pretend. Xiaoxiao is my girlfriend now. We love each other very much. I hope you don't bother us again. Haha, do you hear me? Jiang Yuan. Lin Xiaoxiao proudly took the arm of the rich second generation, as if to show off his victory. We are no longer from the same world. You'd better die with this heart. How can you, an unknown little photographer, have foreign customers asking you to take photos? Lin Xiaoxiao seemed to see through my mind, and her tone was full of disdain. Who are you lying to? I looked at her with mixed feelings in my heart. How did the once understanding girl become like this now? 5. I don't want to explain anymore. I sighed weakly and turned around to leave. Lin Xiaoxiao raised her chin proudly like a proud peacock. He looked at me with the posture of a winner as if to say, look, you are the one who was told to me and wanted to run away. Lin Xiaoxiao just refused to let me go and still justified herself. Ziheng, look at him. Lin Xiaoxiao pointed at me and said coquettishly to the rich second generation. He just wants to pester me. It's really annoying. Looking at their intimate appearance, there was no wave in my heart. I looked at the low-key and luxurious Bulgari private customized watch on my wrist. The corners of his mouth evoked a trace of self-deprecating arc. I almost laughed at Lin Xiaoxiao's ambitious face. I slowly took off my sunglasses and looked at her with a smile. Lin Xiaoxiao's heart was furious when I saw it, and he subconsciously hid behind the rich second generation. I looked at the so-called rich second generation, and a picture suddenly flashed in my mind. Wait, why is this kid a little familiar? Did my father say a few days ago that there was a jewelry store owner who owed rent? Bankrupt. Isn't this man the son of the boss? I carefully looked at the head of the rich second generation. This Armani looks like a high imitation. Look at Lin Xiaoxiao, the Chanel suit on her body, and the latest bag. I suddenly realized that these two people were fakes from head to toe. Jiang, Mr. Jiang. Only then did the rich second generation recognize me and began to stutter. He hesitated for a long time and didn't say a complete word. Lin Xiaoxiao didn't know what had happened, and he was still urging him. Ziheng, what's wrong with you? I looked at the two of them, and an indescribable pleasure suddenly surged in my heart. I raised the corners of my mouth and showed a meaningful smile. I deliberately paused and looked at the rich second generation with a smile. Tomorrow is the deadline. I looked at these two people and only felt funny. I shook my head and got up and left. 6. The rich second generation's face turned white. His eyes dodged and he couldn't speak for a long time. Lin Xiaoxiao was confused. What's the deadline? Ziheng, what is he talking about? Do you know each other? The rich second generation came to wisdom in a hurry. He pulled Lin Xiaoxiao over and pretended to hate iron but not steel. Baby, he wants me to borrow 1.8 million yuan, but I'll give it to him tomorrow. Lin Xiaoxiao was indeed fooled. He raised his eyebrows and began to count at my back. What's wrong with him? How can someone rush to borrow money like this? The rich second generation pretended to raise his eyebrows at Lin Xiaoxiao, and also reached out and hugged him tightly in a generous tone. I'm not short of this money. Forget it. Who called me a good person? Didn't you like me to be with me? Lin Xiaoxiao secretly scolded the rich second generation to be a fool, but he had to pretend to be affectionate on his face. Ziheng, you are so honest and kind. I love you so much. The next day, I came to Columbia University as agreed to take graduation photos for a group of young female students. The sunshine is just right, the breeze is not dry, and everything is full of hope and vitality. Click to freeze their most beautiful moment. At this time, a familiar smell of inferior perfume floated into my nasal cavity. I turned my head and saw Lin Xiaoxiao and the rich second generation. You also said that you didn't chase me. You came here. Lin Xiaoxiao held her arms with a I know expression, and her tone was sharp and mean. I put down my camera and looked at the two people in front of me, which only felt ridiculous. Lin Xiaoxiao, which eye did you see me chasing you? I held back the impulse to roll my eyes and really wanted to pry open her head to see what was inside. You. Lin Xiaoxiao was choked by me. She was speechless for a moment, and her eyes were rolling, as if she was looking for words to refute. I didn't bother to waste time with her. I pointed to the girls in bachelor's uniforms opposite and explained patiently, I'm here to work and take graduation photos for them. The rich second generation stood there like a wooden stake, without saying a word throughout the whole process. Only his eyes were rolling around, but he didn't dare to face me. Lin Xiaoxiao followed my line of sight and looked over, and her face suddenly became wonderful. 7. Of course she recognized that those girls were her college classmates. My family is rich or expensive, and I often post all kinds of luxury goods and photos of travel around the world in my circle of friends. You are the only one. Take a picture of them? Lin Xiaoxiao looked at me up and down, and her eyes were full of doubt and disdain. I smiled and didn't say anything. I just lowered my head and sorted out the camera. At this time, a girl dressed in fashion came towards us. He greeted me warmly. Mr. Jiang, we are ready. Can we start? I nodded, picked up the camera, and was ready to start work. Wait. Lin Xiaoxiao suddenly stopped one of the female classmates and said in a hurry, how much does it cost for him to take pictures of you? I frowned slightly and was a little impatient. Lin Xiaoxiao, what on earth do you want to do? I'll just ask, can't I? Lin Xiaoxiao's neck was tangled and her eyes flashed. 60,000. The female student spat out two words lightly and went to pose to take photos. What? Lin Xiaoxiao and the rich second generation exclaimed at the same time, and their eyes were about to stare out. 660,000? Lin Xiaoxiao's voice began to tremble. JST. Just take a picture, 60,000 yuan. I didn't bother to pay attention to her fuss, so I went straight to the group of girls and started working. Lin Xiaoxiao froze in place, her face turned blue and white, as wonderful as spilling a 5-flavored bottle. She still didn't believe it and asked another alumnus on purpose. After reading the B website on my mobile phone, I knew that I was now popular all over the world on the internet. The appointments have been scheduled until half a year later. And everything she tried hard to prove was just a joke in my eyes. The rich second generation was afraid that Lin Xiaoxiao would continue to upset me and pulled her away in a hurry. I lowered my head and played with the camera, too lazy to look at them again. Mr. Zhang, you can start. The girls' voices are crisp and pleasant, like wind chimes in summer. I smiled and gestured okay, and began to concentrate on my work. After work, the graduation ceremony began. Lin Xiaoxiao specially wore a white lace skirt. Wearing exquisite makeup, he stood on the podium, hiding his excitement and nervousness. Not only her, but also other graduates are very excited. Today, the whole school knows that the principal invited a heavyweight guest K. K is the nickname of a bigwig in the jewelry design industry. It is said that the jewelry he designed, once it is launched, it will be snapped up. It is the idol in the hearts of countless designers. Lin Xiaoxiao, as a jewelry design major, is no exception. She saw her classmates talking about him in the class group yesterday. Even the class committee also said that Kay will come to award them today. Only then did he look at the entrance with expectation and imagine Kay's demeanor. However, when the host announced that Kay is invited below, the smile on Lin Xiaoxiao's face froze in an instant. It was me who took the stage, not someone else. Hello everyone. I'm Kay. It's been many years since I graduated from our school. Today, I'm honored to be invited to today's graduation ceremony. I held the microphone and said in a gentle tone. My eyes swept under the stage and finally fell on Lin Xiaoxiao, with a meaningful smile on the corners of my mouth. Lin Xiaoxiao's face turned pale, as if she had been slapped hard, and her face was hot. She never dreamed that he was the jewelry designer she had always wanted to meet. After a few seconds, he immediately calmed down and looked at me with affectionate and pitying eyes. Can I still not see Lin Xiaoxiao's little thoughts? She must be ashamed and annoyed now, but she is secretly happy in her heart. Wait for me to give her an award, then give in and say a few good words, and the matter will be over. Thinking of using this trick every time she made a mistake in the past, I also forgave her. But now think about it well. In her expectant eyes, I passed her and handed the trophy and certificate in my hand to the girl next to her. A really hardworking and progressive girl. Congratulations and happy graduation, I said with a smile and patted the girl on the shoulder to show encouragement. Thank you. The girl blushed with excitement and took the trophy carefully, looking at me with joy in her eyes. I enjoy this. After my girlfriend was admitted to graduate school, she thought I was poor and broke up. After knowing that I was a rich second generation, she pursued me crazily. 39,103 inch. Cut. Enjoy Lin Xiaoxiao's eyes that are about to spit fire and stare at me. Lin Xiaoxiao was very angry when she saw me like this to girls and said sarcastically, the man who said he would love me for the rest of his life didn't find another one to enjoy her. Do you deserve it? I asked her in a voice that only the two of us could hear, with a hint of sarcasm in my tone. Lin Xiaoxiao didn't reply. She just bit her lip hard to reveal her true emotions. I guess if it weren't for the podium, in order to save face, he may have quarreled with me again long ago. After the ceremony, I refused everyone's invitation and just wanted to leave quickly. Lin Xiaoxiao stepped on high heels and walked towards me, like an angry lioness. Jiang Yuan, stop for me. She grabbed my arm, and her delicate makeup could not hide the angry expression on her face. I shook off her hand and looked at her with a smile. Miss Lin, is there anything else? What do you mean? Do you deliberately embarrass me? The rich second generation stood next to her, with an impatient face. Obviously, he was forcibly pulled over by her. 9. I smiled, ignored her, and turned around to leave. Seeing that Lin Xiaoxiao was blocking my way, he asked in a very gentle tone, why didn't you tell me that you were Kay? Otherwise I wouldn't have. She was embarrassed to say the last words, but I also understood what she meant. I'm glad I didn't tell you. I'm grateful that you broke up with me, really. I lost face in public, which made her change her face quickly. What are you pretending to be? Didn't you graduate from B University? How can he graduate from Columbia University? Lin Xiaoxiao raised the volume, and the sharp voice attracted the attention of many people around him. I stopped and turned around to look at her leisurely. Lin Xiaoxiao, haven't you heard the word top student? I've been smart since I was a child. Isn't jumping a common thing for me? I deliberately pretended to be light and observed her expression. Isn't it strange that I went to Columbia University for further study after graduating early in China? I shrugged my shoulders with an innocent face. Lin Xiaoxiao was stunned by my rhetoric. She was stunned for a few seconds before she hesitated and couldn't speak. You? She pointed at me. You waited for a long time, but she didn't give a reason. Jiang Yuan, even if you are Kay, so what? Don't think I don't know what kind of person you are. She suddenly changed her tone, walked to my side, and said to the girl beside me, Don't be with him. He has a bad character. This man is cheeky to borrow money from my boyfriend. She turned her head and looked at Lin Xiaoxiao with an inexplicable face. He looked at me and asked Lin Xiaoxiao strangely, how could my brother borrow money from your boyfriend? He doesn't need it at all. Are you his sister? Only then did Lin Xiaoxiao realize that he had misunderstood. He was about to open his mouth, but I interrupted him. I took a deep breath to suppress the anger in my heart. Lin Xiaoxiao, you can eat indiscriminately, but you can't talk nonsense. Which eye do you have to see me borrowing money? Do you dare to do it? Are you still a man? Lin Xiaoxiao continued to shout, trying to anger me with words. I immediately looked at the rich second generation who didn't dare to look at me and sneered. He pulled him out from behind the woman and stared at him fiercely. Is that what you told her? Say I want to borrow money from you. His eyes dodged and he hesitated and couldn't speak. Obviously, he was frightened by my sudden action. All right, you are quite good at fabrication. I sneered, took out my mobile phone directly, clicked on WeChat, and found his father's contact information. What do you want to do? When he saw my action, he suddenly panicked and began to stutter. I ignored him and dialed the phone directly. The moment the phone was connected, I turned on the amplification of my mobile phone. Come on. I want your father to explain to me what's going on with this money. His face turned pale in an instant. He snatched my mobile phone, hung up the phone and then knelt in front of me. Mr. Jiang, I was wrong, don't call me. Speak. I looked at him condescendingly in a cold tone. I. He trembled with fear and said intermittently, I just don't want Xiaoxiao to know that my family is bankrupt. I didn't mean to lie. So you arranged me and said I borrowed money? I interrupted him, and his tone was full of sarcasm. Lin Xiaoxiao was completely shocked when she heard the rich second generation's answer. Looking at me and the rich second generation, I couldn't speak for a long time. 10. I don't dare anymore. Please don't tell my father that I'm here. I sneaked out, please. He kept kowtowing to me, and his forehead turned red. Lin Xiaoxiao was stunned when she heard it. She never thought that things would turn out like this. You lied to me? She looked at the man kneeling on the ground in disbelief, and her voice trembled. I. He didn't dare to look into Lin Xiaoxiao's eyes and lowered his head in shame. Since you are bankrupt, where did your plane tickets, hotels, and what you wear come from? Lin Xiaoxiao pointed at his nose and questioned harshly. He lowered his head and didn't say a word, like a child who did something wrong. Xiaoxiao, He hesitated, his eyes dodged, and he didn't dare to look directly into Lin Xiaoxiao's eyes. Speak. Lin Xiaoxiao's mood finally broke down and grabbed his collar. Do you have a truth? He shuddered with fear and stammered. I only have 30,000 yuan, but I still stole my father's credit card. Air tickets and hotels were booked with this card. Clothes. The clothes are high imitations bought online. High imitation? Then the ones you sent me are also fake. Lin Xiaoxiao let go of her hand in disbelief, and the brilliance in her eyes faded little by little. So you lied to me from beginning to end? He didn't dare to speak and wanted to go forward to pull her hand, but was pushed away by Lin Xiaoxiao. Get out of here. Get out of here. Lin Xiaoxiao roared hoarsely and tears burst out. He got up in a panic, as if he had just seen her clearly for the first time. For the sake of his own face, he also satirized Lin Xiaoxiao without hesitation. Even if you are in a hurry to fart or others now, he won't want you. You don't deserve it at all. When the ex-girlfriend saw that the rich second generation belittled her so much, she scolded him even more carelessly. Why don't I deserve it? Even if he is K, so what? Maybe he still has me in his heart. The rich second generation was angry with her shameless appearance and sneered louder. Of course he doesn't deserve it. He is the son of the boss of the beautification company. Lin Xiaoxiao covered her mouth incredulously to beautify the company, which was very clear. Among the top 10 large companies in the country, it is a leading family enterprise in the jewelry and real estate industry. It's ridiculous to see her shocked and regretful face. I looked at the farce in front of me and only felt extremely ironic. Let's go. I pulled up my sister who was watching the play and turned around to leave. Wait. Lin Xiaoxiao suddenly stopped me. I stopped and looked back at her with calm eyes. You knew it a long time ago, didn't you? She stared at me with her eyes full of resentment. So what? I said indifferently. Besides, what does it have to do with me? You. She wanted to say something, but I interrupted her. Lin Xiaoxiao, I looked at her coldly. You are a snobbish woman. Who do you think you are? What qualifications do you have to teach me a lesson? She roared hysterically. Of course I'm not qualified to teach you a lesson, I said in a calm tone. I just feel sorry for you, pathetic and hateful. After saying that, I didn't want to pay attention to her anymore and turned around and left. Brother, where are we going? The younger sister asked curiously. Go home. I rubbed her hair and said, Dad asked me to take you to work in the company. Hearing the company, Lin Xiaoxiao suddenly felt like crazy. He rushed over desperately and hugged my waist. I was shocked by her sudden action, and my body instinctively retreated. Don't be angry. Can't I still be wrong? I was stunned by the liar just now, so I talked to you like that. Don't take it seriously. She hugged me tightly and her tone was full of prayer. 11. The speed of this change of face is not even as fast as hers on the plane. I broke her hand hard and said with a cold face, Lin Xiaoxiao, have you made enough trouble? I didn't make a fuss. I'm serious. I was so angry that I did that to you. She wanted to pounce on her, but I pushed her away. What on earth are you going to do? I was speechless to her. I regret it. I was really wrong. Let's make up. She stared at me like a poor puppy. Acceptable? Do you think it's possible? I sneered. We've already finished, do you understand? It's not because of that liar. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have broken up with you at all. I'm also innocent. She explained eagerly. Unexpectedly, she could be so cheeky about the reason for the breakup. It's so shameless. So what? I looked at her coldly. That's not what you said when you chose him, did you? I. She hesitated and couldn't speak for a long time. Brother, let's go. My sister came over and stood in front of me. He looked up and down at Lin Xiaoxiao and said in a disdainful tone, You wear fake clothes all over your body, but you don't deserve to be with my brother. I rubbed my sister's hair, pulled her around and left. Hello. Don't go. Lin Xiaoxiao wanted to catch up, but was pushed away by my sister. We ignored her shouts and went straight to the school gate. A black Maybach parked on the side of the road, and the driver got out of the car to open the door for us. I helped my sister into the car, and then I got into it myself. Go to the airport, I said to the driver. The car started slowly, and I lowered the window. Finally, he took a look at Lin Xiaoxiao, who was standing in place and crying, without a trace of pity in his heart. Some people miss it, and no matter how much they regret it, it won't help. A few days later, I took my sister to my company. Brother, is this our company? It's so impressive. I rubbed my sister's head and said with a smile, Of course. The company's business is booming. I occasionally go to the studio, and now I have handed it over to my brother Xiaohu to manage it. Brother, what did you think at the beginning? Don't let a good rich second generation do it and run to open a studio. Xiaohu gossiped while pouring tea for me. I took the teacup and said with a smile, Too nately, I didn't reveal my true identity at the beginning, otherwise I wouldn't have seen the woman's true face. Yes, but brother, you may not believe it. Lin Xiaoxiao has come to see you several times. I raised my eyebrows and became a little interested. Oh? What is she doing here? What else can you do? Of course, I beg you to get back together. But I sent him away. The little tiger looked proud. I smiled and said nothing. Brother, let me tell you, that woman is miserable. Xiaohu lowered his voice, looking like a gossip. I put down the teacup and signaled him to continue. I heard that Lin Xiaoxiao was pregnant and threatened to marry the rich second generation. The man didn't go home at all, so he found Xiaoxin outside and beat Lin Xiaoxiao. The child was gone, and now he is divorced again. I was stunned for a moment, and I couldn't tell what it was like. You deserve it. Who let her abandon my brother and choose that liar? The younger sister said angrily. I sighed and said, Okay, it's all over. Don't mention her in the future. Brother, you're not thinking about her, are you? My sister looked at me worriedly. I shook my head and said firmly, No. Brother, who is that? The little tiger suddenly lowered his voice and mysteriously pointed out of the window. I followed his gaze and looked at the door of an internet celebrity dessert shop. Several girls dressed in fashion stood together. Aren't these the former customers who asked me to take photos before? I withdrew my gaze faintly and had little interest in this kind of gossip. No, take a closer look. Xiaohu smiled evilly. Take a closer look at the girl next to her. Only then did I notice that it was Lin Xiaoxiao. She painted her makeup so enchantingly that she didn't even recognize it. Even so, she couldn't cover the waxy yellow and haggard face. The world is really small. TSK, this dress doesn't look good. I guess it's A again. The younger sister gloated and said. I took a sip of tea and didn't say anything, but my heart was full of playfulness. At this time, Lin Xiaoxiao seemed to have found something. She suddenly turned her head and looked straight at us. She opened her mouth and smiled excitedly, and her red lips smiled like a female ghost. Oh my God, she won't come to you yet, will she? Xiaohu also noticed something was wrong. I put down the teacup, and a playful smile on the corner of my mouth. The drama is about to begin. The girl pulled Lin Xiaoxiao and wanted to leave, but was thrown away by Lin Xiaoxiao. What are you doing? Let's go. The girl looked puzzled. I suddenly want to go to the opposite side to take art photos. I haven't taken pictures for a long time. Lin Xiaoxiao stammered and turned around to slip away. Don't you know what the hell you are like? What kind of photo? I think you saw an acquaintance, right? The girl grabbed her and looked at us suspiciously. I. Lin Xiaoxiao's face turned pale and white. She just wanted to get rid of her and come to me to make up with her. The two of them pulled back and forth, and more people around were watching the excitement, pointing and discussing. Isn't this Kay, the popular internet celebrity photographer on the internet that day? The real person is more handsome than the photo. Who is that girl? Why do you feel guilty? I heard that Kay seemed to have been in love with Lin Xiaoxiao before, but later he was dumped by her. Isn't he here to take revenge? You deserve it. Who asked her to abandon Kay at the beginning and choose the rich second generation? Listening to the discussion around him, Lin Xiaoxiao's face became more and more ugly, and he quickly ran away from here. I only showed a trace of mockery to her, then turned around and left, not looking at her again. Suddenly someone in the crowd recognized me and shouted excitedly, Kay, I'm your fan. Can I take a picture with you? I stopped and smiled politely. Of course. So I was surrounded by a group of enthusiastic fans signing autographs and group photos so lively. I looked at her lonely and regretful back, and the corners of my mouth sneered. Some people, no matter how much they regret, can't go back. 12. After the fans left, I turned my head and looked out of the window with deep eyes. Some people always think that they can control everything, but I don't know that fate has already secretly marked the price, and they will have to pay for their choices sooner or later. Brother, when will the jewelry series you design be launched? I can't wait. My sister shook my arm excitedly. I came back to my senses and said with a smile, it's almost time. I'll give you a surprise on the day of the press conference. Really? What kind of surprise is it? The younger sister looked expectant. I pretended to be mysterious and smiled. You will know then. Brother, it's up. Our company's stock has risen. My sister jumped up from the computer chair excitedly and almost knocked over the freshly brewed coffee. I calmly put down my mobile phone, and the corners of my mouth raised a long and time dark. Calm down, this is the point. Sis. Brother, you don't know. Now everyone on the internet is talking about you as the mysterious jewelry design master Kay. My sister's eyes shine and she incarnates into my little fangirl. Xiaohu also came over and looked adoring. Brother, you are so awesome. At the beginning, I guessed that you must not be an ordinary person. I smiled and enjoyed the moment of relaxation. Soon, the effect after the press conference far exceeded my expectations. When the identity of Kay is bound to me, it brings not only fame, and a continuous stream of wealth. The jewelry series designed before was sold out, and orders flew in like snowflakes. I finally stood at the peak of my life, overlooking those who once looked down on and hurt me. 2 years later. Yuan, what do you think of this girl? He is about the same age as you, graduated from a famous university, and is well educated and reasonable. My mother looked through the photo in her hand and enthusiastically introduced my blind date to me. Since I took over the family business, my parents began to worry about my life's events and arranged various blind dates. To be honest, I don't reject the form of blind date, but my previous experience has made me a little more cautious about love. Mom, you can arrange it, as long as you think it's appropriate. I responded indifferently and didn't show much interest. How can you be so perfunctory? Marriage is a big deal, don't be sloppy. My mother gave me a strange look. I smiled helplessly and was about to say something. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared in my sight. Hello, Aunt. I'm Su Qing. Nice to meet you. The person was dressed in simple and skillful professional clothes, with long dark hair casually hanging on his shoulders, and a gentle smile on his delicate face. Su Qing? Are you coming for a blind date too? I looked at the woman in front of me in surprise, and the little things of my college days appeared in my mind. Yes, I didn't expect to meet you here. Su Qing was also a little surprised, but soon regained her composure. Do you know each other? My mother looked at me and Su Qing curiously. Well, we are college classmates. I explained it briefly. In the next time I talked a lot with Su Qing. From interesting things in college to our own lives now, the atmosphere is relaxed and pleasant. I was surprised to find that Su Qing in front of me had already lost her youth. He became mature and steady, but still maintained the rare sincerity and kindness. More importantly, we have similar views and hobbies, and many things coincide. This blind date went unexpectedly smoothly. Su Qing and I came together naturally. On the wedding day, the sun was shining and the hall was full of guests. I stood at the end of the red carpet and looked at Su Qing, who was slowly walking towards me in a white wedding dress. My heart was full of happiness and emotion. Zhang Yuan, Are you willing to marry Su Qing? Whether you are poor or rich, sick or healthy, love and cherish her until death separates you. I'm willing to, I answered firmly, gently staring at the woman in front of me. I know that this time I finally found my own happiness.